was only 36 years after the What If issue, but it's fine. It was totally worth the wait. Thank you. It left me wanting more of her, so good job on that, Marvel. Oh, and 2 screaming goats. What it do, Torpedo Maniacs? My name is Lo from Torpedo Comics, and we are back with another episode of What's the Deal With? Oh. In this series, we do a deep dive into comic topics that are current or that leave us scratching our heads. But before we get rolling, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified for when we have new videos. Now let's jump back into asking ourselves, what's the deal with Jane Foster? If you haven't seen the newest Thor movie, Love and Thunder, don't worry, you didn't miss much. Just a few good laughs here and there in like less than 10 minutes of gore screen time. Oh, and 2 screaming goats. But without completely dogging the movie, let's break down one of the biggest hypes of the film before it was released. While her first normie appearance was in Journey into Mystery number 84, we don't get to actually see Jane Foster as Thor until What If number 10. There we had a story that only lightly touched base of what it would be like if we had a female Thor. And it was awesome. So awesome that they actually brought her into the real Marvel Universe as the female Thor in Thor Volume 4, issue number 1, which was released in 2014. It was only 36 years after the What If issue, but it's fine. It was totally worth the wait. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Question is, who is Jane Foster and how did she go from a nurse to Thor's love interest to the mighty Thor? Let's start with how Thor and Jane met. Remember her first appearance I mentioned? Well, in that issue, she was a nurse that worked for Dr. Donald Blake, who was actually Thor. Yes. Who she also knows and thinks is like super cute. So of course she ends up falling for the guy, and the best part, the feelings were mutual. So fast forward a bit to Journey into Mystery number 124, and you have the confession of Thor admitting his double life to Jane. And again, Jane has the hots for both of his personas already, so she's just like, yeah, bonus. Shortly after, Thor brings Jane back to meet the parents. Of course, Odin is sorta on edge that Thor revealed himself, but it doesn't take long for Odin to come around and grant her immortality, which also doesn't last long as Jane doesn't pass a test assigned by Odin himself, and he literally strips her of all memories of Asgard and Thor. Little harsh, no? So, she's sent back to Earth to live a different life where she meets and becomes romantically involved with Dr. Keith Kincaid. Now, this girl's life is tragic, I won't lie. It was starting to look really good for a second. She did almost die once, but thanks to Lady Sif, she was able to merge with her and was saved. This also unlocked memories of Asgard and Thor. So, that was probably a crazy day for her, but after all that, she got busy and made a name for herself. She marries Kincaid, she has a son, earned her medical doctorate, gave herself the name Dr. Jane Foster, you go girl, and worked with people like Jake Olsen, who was the mantle of God of Thunder for a minute, and was a physician of Tony Stark at one point. Then life did her bad. She loses custody of her son, all while getting divorced, then loses her kid and ex-husband in a freaky car accident. And on top of it, gets breast cancer. I mean, it doesn't seem like she can catch a break. Thor, hearing of the diagnosis, offers to treat her with magic, but Jane declines. Later down the road, Thor mentions how she would be a good fit for Midgard, as he invites her to something called the Congress of the Worlds. Jane is very hesitant at first, but figures why the heck not, so she joins the Asgardians. How does she become Lady Thor though? Well, in a series called Original Sin, Thor is deemed unworthy. So of course this opens up a new person to wield the hammer, Mjolnir. Although not talked about until the later issue of The Mighty Thor, it was explained through a flashback that she was telepathically called by Mjolnir itself, all the way from the moon. That's crazy. So, of course, picking up the hammer, she was gifted with the powers of Thor, but all good things come with a catch, or however that saying goes. Each time she was to pick up the hammer, it was making her cancer go AWOL. We're talking about bringing it from stage 1 to eventually stage 4. At her last battle in Mighty Thor 705, she would fight her last fight saving the Asgardians against a ferocious monster by the name of Mangog. It was an epic battle, and in the end she throws Mjolnir with the monster attached and chained straight into the sun. Thor and Odinson, old Thor, share one last kiss and then she dies in his arms. Thank you. It's so romantic. But that's not the last of Jane Foster. Nay, nay. She eventually comes back a Valkyrie, and a badass one at that. So I guess if you want to tie her story in with the MCU after the movie Love and Thunder, we could possibly see her again. Who knows? I think overall, even though I didn't enjoy the movie to its entirety, I think they told the story of Jane Foster well for the short time they had. It left me wanting more of her. So good job on that, Marvel. Now give me more Valkyrie. What did you think of the movie? And what do you think of Jane Foster? Did we like Lady Thor? Do we want more? And what other characters and or topics would you like to see in the next episode? And once again, don't forget to like and subscribe and to hit that bell icon so you can be notified when we post new videos. This is Lo signing off on another episode of What's the Deal With. Thanks, guys.